Hi, my name's Thomas Young. I'm a proud member of the class of 1988 and privileged to serve as your Vice President for Advancement here at Gustavus. On behalf of the entire Gustavus community, I'm here to welcome you to the 2020 Alumni Association Awards celebration, held virtually, as you can see. If you know anything about Gustavus, you know that we love to throw a good party and deliver top-notch Gusty hospitality, which we would normally have done for this celebration. But while we regret that we've been unable to bring folks back to campus to celebrate the accomplishments of this year's Alumni Association honorees, we are thrilled to be able to bring this celebration to you in this format and appreciate you taking time to join us for this important event. While it's always been the case, it's a particularly good time to be a Gusty right now. Campus is bustling with construction projects, student campers and researchers and staff preparing for a fall that should, in most ways, look like and feel like what we know to be a Gustavus experience. We'll welcome over 600 new students to campus in late August, as well as our returning Gusties, who I'm sure will be looking forward to making up for lost time as they forge those lifelong friendships and mentoring relationships that make Gustavus such a special place. As we all gladly welcome a return to a bit more normal on campus, our faculty and staff are doubling down on our commitments to the Gustavus core values: community, justice, service, faith, and excellence. Which brings us to the plans for this celebration. It's always a joy to be part of recognizing those among us who have been truly exemplary in their accomplishments. And this year is no different. The members of our community being recognized here are shining examples of the Gusty spirit, and we can't wait to share them with you. Now, let's hear from the current president of the Alumni Association Board of Directors, Mike BUSSEY. And again, thanks for joining us. And as always, go Gusties.
Greetings, Gustavus, and thank you, Tom. I always appreciate your reminder that it's a great time to be a Gusty. My name is Mike BUSSEY from the class of 1969, and it's my honor to serve as the chair of the Gustavus Alumni Board of Directors and to welcome you to this year's Gustavus Alumni Association Awards celebration. Although the Alumni Association's awards ceremony has been an amazing on-campus banquet for many years, for obvious reasons we're having to gather virtually this year. However, please know that recognizing and honoring Gusty Alumni Association award winners is a highlight every year, no matter what format it takes. The Gustavus Alumni Board consists of up to 30 Gusties. Together, we represent the diversity of Gustavus and are fully committed to the GAA's mission to engage current and future alumni in lifelong relationships with Gustavus and with each other. As I trust many of you know, Gustavus was founded in 1862. Therefore, last month, the 159th graduating class of 2021 joined the Gustavus Alumni Association, which now includes nearly 29,000 Gusties from 70 classes, and all of whom are making their lives count throughout the U.S. and in many countries throughout the world. On behalf of the Alumni Board, I just want to welcome you to this opportunity to lift up and to celebrate some amazing stories of Gusties who have made their lives count and as they've journeyed into the world. And I should add, there are many more to be accounted for. Speaking of stories, the 2021 spring edition of the Gustavus Quarterly focused on how to tell a great Gustavus story. This focus on storytelling reminded me of the book 1001 Arabian Nights and of the movie Arabian Nights, during which Scheherazade, the wife of a very troubled king, consults with a master storyteller in the Damascus markets to learn how to tell a great story. 1001 stories that in her case will save her life and the life of the king. During one of their conversations, he tells her, "Stories are more important to us than bread itself, because they tell us how to live and why." One of the great privileges we have as an alumni board is to hear many of the amazing stories of Gusties in the world, making their lives count and of making their communities, our nation, and the world a better place for all of us. Tonight, it's our honor to share some of these stories with you and to recognize and thank those whose lives have created these stories in hopes that their stories will be an encouragement to all Gusties and that their stories will come in such a way to highlight the amazing things that literally thousands of Gusties are doing every day to make their lives count. Before going any further, I want to thank Deb Rosenberg, the chair of the board's recognition committee, and her entire committee, including Jen Brandenburg, John Moorhead, Mark Sharmer, Marcia Stevens, and Ann Wasson, as well as Angela Erickson and Philly Kaufman from the Office of Alumni and Parent Engagement for their great work, the work that they do in receiving award nominations and proceeding through the very challenging and extensive process of recommending this year's slate of Gustavus Award winners to the board, which we are very pleased to present to you tonight. Finally, congratulations to all award recipients, and thank you for the great things you're doing to make your lives count in a very complex and contentious world, for the encouragement your stories provide for so many others, and for so nicely showing the world what being a Gustie is all about. Go Gusties!
Thanks, Mike. Hi, everyone. For those of you whom I've not had the great pleasure of meeting, my name is Angela Erickson, member of the class of 2001, and I am proud to serve as Director of Alumni and Parent Engagement here at Gustavus. On behalf of our team, another warm welcome to all of you. Thanks for taking time to help us celebrate the accomplishments of these incredible 2020 Alumni Association Award winners. I'll be serving as your MC as we walk through our awards this year, and I'm honored to do so, as this event is perennially one of my very favorites. As a proud Gustie, it's always thrilling to hear of the examples of everyday greatness that our colleagues, classmates, and friends have put on display for the world to see. And while it's sometimes tempting to reflect on our own perceived inadequacies as we learn of their incredible journeys, I find it comforting to remember that each of us contributes in meaningful ways to a collective greatness as we bring honor to Gustavus through our commitment to the college's core values in our daily lives. And so, let us affirm that greatness and revel in the fact that we share a special bond with the distinguished guests being honored in this celebration. As you may know, they join a group of talented, accomplished members of our community who are recipients of awards in years past. And when you make your way to campus next, I encourage you to visit right here in C. Zeckhoff Alumni Hall, where plaques bearing each of their names can be found. This is a special place, and it has become a testament to the greatness of Gusties. We hope that you find yourself here in this room at some point soon. With that, let's get started. The first of our awards, the First Decade Award, was established to recognize 2 members of the 10-year anniversary class for early professional achievement, and nominations are gleaned from classmates in anticipation of their 10-year reunion. Let's take a moment and learn a bit more about our first honoree, Gilles Uderogo.
He's quite passionate about, the topics that, he gets into. And I think that plays a little bit into how he actually does his work and how he lives his life. I think it's a bit of a lifestyle. I think that what's really surprising is his ability to reinvent himself, from Burkina Faso to New York to back home to Minnesota. And then that's when the crazy journey starts, which, you from Senegal to Central Africa and now to Germany. And what's surprising is his ability to really, every time I went to visit him, I'm like, wow, you actually put it all together. You actually recreated your space. Another thing that is quite interesting, I think, is his creativity. And that's, for me, the career that he did not pursue, which is, I think he's a great lyricist. He's a great scenarist. I don't know if you've seen any of the things that he did with Jaliba, some of the movies that he created. He won a first place. I'm not sure if this is in his resume in a movie competition in Ivory Coast, dedicated to movies shot by mobile phones. And I've been around from the inception to how he realized it, and he has a huge creative energy. And the last thing that I really like about him is he's optimistic. Even when there are very difficult situations, and God knows that this year was difficult, he's not down. He's always, calm, composed, and looking forward to what he can do next. When he decided to pursue an international development career, and coming from Africa, we always have this pretty old establishment that says, if you're not an engineer, doctor, or lawyer, you've not succeeded your life, especially if you go abroad to study. So it takes a lot of vision and a lot of drive to know what you want from the start, knowing that it's not the easiest market to be employed in, especially not in the US. You're pretty much destined to go to developing countries and often difficult situations. And that's something he knew from the start, and he decided to do anyways. Gustavus is not just a university, it is the university in a 10,000 people city, far from any large city in the center of the United States, which is pretty much the middle of nowhere if you ask his grandmother. And yet, when I went to visit him, and I was I think 2 years after he had started, I found someone who honestly I thought he had been there for decades. I don't know if it's because of the environment at Gustavus or because of his ability to adapt that I touched on earlier. But honestly, I was there for I think a week or more, and every day I was meeting 5 or 10 new people. When he decided to change jobs, lately, he did have a couple of doubts, and at some point he had to make a decision without knowing what would be next, right? And we had this conversation, and he could either try and be the control freak and control everything, wait it out, stay unhappy where he was, and just play it safe. But he decided to do what I think is the hard thing and the bold move, which is, I don't know what's gonna be next, but I feel like now is the right time for me to go. I'm just gonna have faith and something will come, right? And by the time we had this conversation, I think it was not even a month later that an offer out of nowhere came and found him. And that was not part of his radar. He was making his luggage to go back to West Africa. And for some reason, life took him somewhere else, now in Germany. So I think that's a very interesting story to, sometimes we do what we can and what we control, but for the things that we don't control, we just need to remember, as he did, that it's not up to us. And, sometimes we just need a little bit of luck, and that will come in due time.
My name is Gilles Amadou Ouedraogo, of the class of 2010, and I'm a proud recipient of the First Decade Award. I would like to seize this opportunity to thank the Gustavus Adolphus College Alumni Association for recognizing my work and my path. As an international student from Burkina Faso, this award is unexpected. Here's why. I graduated on May 31st, 2010. It was a great feeling. Although on June 1st, I was sleeping on my brother and his wife Brenna's couch, and had absolutely no inkling of where my life would go from there. As far as I was concerned, that couch was going to be my address for the foreseeable future. 0 leads for jobs, over 15 failed interviews, 0 callbacks, and very low morale. In fact, even the Career Center very politely recommended that I look at options in my home country, because even Americans without immigration status and the ambiguities were not getting hired, and it was the truth. 2010 was a rough year, to say the least. Graduating in the heart of a recession, when you're a young person full of hope and confidence, and being served defeat after defeat, can easily break you. That is why this award goes to my family and friends, without whom I would not be here today. I cited Gerard and Brenna, who are also Gustavus graduates, but there are so many more of you to thank, and you know who you are. This goes without saying, but Mom and Dad, obviously, to my sister Ghislaine, also a Gustavus grad, for finding me the next couch I served on before getting my first job out of college and my very own apartment in a building in Midway. Side note, this job would eventually be the place I would meet my wife, Ramatulai, on June 9th, 2011, 10 years from yesterday. Happy anniversary, love. Thank you for always being there for me, for being the sensible voice in my head, and for coping with my quirks. I love you. I also would like to take this chance to thank my first ever boss for teaching me the value of strong work ethic, Naomi Quirk. My second supervisor, Laurent Deschery, for fueling my love and passion for world cinema, and Jeff Anderson for always being there for all international students, regardless of their needs. My academic advisors, Henry Hayes and Mimi Gersbauer, for tolerating me. Virgil Jones, thanks for all you did for minority students at Gustavus. A special mention here for Larry and Talia Taylor, my host parents, and the best host parents that Gustavus Adolphus College has ever seen. This couple deserves an award in its own category. What they do for students far from their homes is underrated and absolutely amazing. Larry and Talia, I say this on behalf of all of us, we love you so much. And thanks for loving us. Your kindness is unrivaled. Thanks to you all, and those of you who know who you are, but that I did not cite. Today, in addition to the work I've done with refugees across Africa, with the Lutheran World Federation, I work on land degradation issues in the Sahel region of Africa, ensuring that we have sustainable systems to restore land, sustainably manage water resources, and capture carbon emissions in part of the world where livelihoods are threatened by an ongoing climate crisis, complete with droughts and unrivaled land degradation. Thank you for recognizing this important work. Thank you to Gustavus Adolphus College for seeing us. God bless.
Congratulations, Gilles. Next, we'll recognize our second recipient of the First Decade Award this year. Let's hear from a member of the local farming community who can give us some insight into the life and career of Amber Hanson GLAESER.
I've really known Amber most of her life. Growing up, in fact, her father and I worked together in soybean leadership for the Minnesota soybean growers, so knew her through her family. You know, as you had the opportunity to watch Amber grow up through FFA and then, of course, college, after college, got to know her a little better with her work with Senator Coleman, with the Farm Credit System, and then now with Minnesota Farm Bureau as our Director of Public Policy. She is that right person that understands how to work with people. Well, I think if I had to pick one word to describe Amber, it would be flexibility. Throughout her career and now with Farm Bureau, we work a lot with appointed elected officials and the need to be flexible as we're in Washington, D.C., St. Paul, doing those visits. She understands the importance to be flexible, not only as a group. I mean, college, it's no different than life. You've got a lot of people with varied backgrounds. Not everybody sees everything the same way. And she understands how important it is to be flexible in not only our conversations, but in the actions. And understands that working together works. And if we can just put a whole bunch of people together, talk through an issue, we usually can come up to a conclusion that has a benefit for everyone. Well, I think to me, to Minnesota Farm Bureau, which is we're the largest farm organization in the state, it's that dedication and that commitment. When Amber says she's going to get something done, she's going to get it done. If she's not sure of an answer, she'll tell you that up front and then find that answer for you. So her commitment to follow through, to get things done and get the right people at the table at the right time. I don't have firsthand Gustavus experience, but I have siblings and parents that were all graduates of Gustavus and understand the importance and the great thing that college does. And that just helped propel her to the next level, working at a couple other jobs and then ultimately finding this home with Minnesota Farm Bureau. And it's just those commitments, whether it's a commitment as a student or as an employee or as Director of Public Policy, you need to make sure you get the things done that need to be done and make sure that you have all those attributes of integrity and honesty. Whether it's a weekend, after hours, things come up in policy and politics, unexpected. And she's always been there when we needed her, never afraid to answer the phone or an email, a commitment almost 24/7 to her job with Minnesota Farm Bureau.
My name is Amber Hanson GLAESER, and I'm a proud 2010 graduate from the Gustavus Adolphus College. I'm incredibly honored to receive the First Decade Award from the Gustavus Alumni Association. My 4 years on the Hill challenged the way I thought about the world, opened doors for me through an incredible network of alumni, and created a community that will always feel like home. I'm proud to be a Gustie, and I'm so grateful that I've been able to continue to be a part of the college. Receiving the First Decade Award is a huge honor for me, as the work that I do as Director of Public Policy for Minnesota Farm Bureau is personal. And as proud as I am to be recognized for my accomplishments over the last 10 years since leaving Gustavus, it is truly an accumulation of the support and guidance I've received from so many people that are critical to who I am both personally and professionally. First and foremost, thank you to my family. To my husband, Scott, thank you for letting me chase my dreams and supporting me every step of the way. And to our little boys, Henry and Oscar, I hope I make you proud and that I can make this world a little bit better for you to grow up in. And to my parents, Brian and Diane, Dad, you showed me the importance of speaking up and sharing your story from a young age. I may not be back on the farm, but I hope the work that I do each and every day makes a difference for the next generation of HANSON farms. Thank you to my mentors, people like Kevin PAAP and Chris Raditz, who took a chance on me and have helped show me the ropes and help find my place in the policy world. To people like the Women in Ag Policy that I have the opportunity to learn from and work with, to the Farm Bureau team, State Board, and the nearly 30,000 Farm Bureau members across the state that have put their faith in me to help share their story and advocate on their behalf. And finally, thank you to Gustavus Adolphus College, especially to the Political Science Department and people like Chris Gilbert, Kate Knutson, and Richard Leach, who helped to challenge me, held me accountable, and helped me to grow into a person that could go into the world and try to make a difference. And thank you for giving me a support system through friends I made in St. Peter that continue to make my life better because they're in it. Thank you again for this honor, and I look forward to what the next decade holds.
Kudos to you, Amber. Now, keeping in the theme of anniversary awards, these next two awards pay special recognition to a member of the 25 and 50-year reunion classes, which again are nominated by their classmates in the year leading up to their reunion celebration. First, to introduce our Silver Anniversary Award winner for exceptional career achievement, we'll hear from a Gustavus faculty member emeritus with a very special relationship to Elisabeth Potts-Dellon.
Well, I think this has to be a unique situation in the history of the Alumni Association Awards and the faculty, because I have the pleasure of introducing my daughter, Elisabeth Susan Potts-Dellon, for the 25th Silver Anniversary Award. The coin of the realm in academics, of course, is things like publications, and she has 38 publications, I think, 9 with her as the first author, which indicates she did the legwork on the project. Yeah, and she's had another coin of the realm is abstracts. She's had something like 50 abstracts published in her field. So academically, she's really done a superb job. She's won 11 awards in both teaching and research in her career. And I find that particularly gratifying. She is a teacher as part of her position as professor of medicine at UNC. But I had no idea she was so active in that. One of the awards that I am particularly proud of really is not dealing with teaching. It's something called the Golden Heart Award at UNC Hospital. So she works with children, with parents as well as children. She's worked in genetic counseling of parents who've had kids and want to be careful. She's also become a real promoter of palliative care. And that's the heartbreaking side of cystic fibrosis, that at some point, often in the teens, the late teens, palliative care is the way to deal with things. So I very much admire her for doing that, because that's an emotional load on top of her administrative load and her clinical rounds. She's extremely warm and friendly, which sometimes would, I think, strike people as a little bit different from the CV side, because she's a very high achiever that way. But she's fun, she has a ready laugh, she's fun to be with, and of course, as a child, we always had so much fun together. Another dimension to Elizabeth is that she's done a wonderful job in raising, along with her husband Evan, who's also an MD at UNC, raising two adorable granddaughters of mine. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. So she came to Gustavus. She got involved in Curriculum 2, but she also got involved in a brand new biochemistry major that we started offering in basically her freshman year at Gustavus. And so she was one of the early graduates in the biochemistry major program. And she was with her friends doing summer research in biochemistry at Gustavus, and all the sorts of things that we like to point to about Gustavus that make the, a special place to come to college. She'll get a call from the hospital, and one of her kiddos, as she calls them, had passed away. And that was, those times have been a couple of those. It's very difficult. And we, sit back and talk a little bit about it, and I listen to her talk about her relationship with her patients. And she's a deeply caring person, and I admire that very much about her.
Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth Potts-Dellon, and I'm a member of the Gustavus Adolphus College class of 1995. I'm honored to be recognized by the Gustavus Alumni Association for a Silver Anniversary Award. For me, Gustavus is much more than an amazing liberal arts school that moved me along a path to my career and the rest of my life as a grown-up. Gustavus was actually a part of my life before I was even born. There was an article in the Quarterly many years ago called Lots of Pots, and if you look at my family's history at Gustavus, you'd agree that the title should have ended with an exclamation point. Both my parents, Larry and Jill Potts, both my siblings, Charlie Potts and Ann Potts-Grimius, my sister-in-law, Angie Peterson Potts, and my brother-in-law, Tanner Grimius, are all Gusties. Whether students, professors, instructors, administrators, athletes, musicians, collegiate fellows, advisors, you name it, someone in our family has done it. My husband, Evan, is the odd man out, but he's had the great fortune of being an honorary Gustie over the past nearly 20 years. For me, and for all of us, the kids and grandkids included, Gustavus is in many ways a second home. Little did I know that my earliest memories of Gustavus would predict my eventual experiences as an undergraduate. On visits to campus with my dad, I was welcomed by his colleagues and friends to explore, learn, socialize, and experience this unique and special place. I remember poking around in labs. I can actually still smell the chemistry stockroom. Testing out the pipe organ in Christ Chapel, peering at Granlund sculptures trying to understand their meanings, swishing around on ice skates at Lund Arena, and wandering the aisles in the library. It was always welcoming, always comfortable, always a great fit. That's exactly what I found when I began my college search. The pressure to go far away from home was quickly forgotten with the realization that Gustavus had everything I wanted and needed for my undergraduate education. And Gustavus didn't disappoint. From my first assignment as a freshman in the still relatively new Curriculum 2, to write the history of Western civilization in 2 pages or less, thanks Dr. Will Freert, to the complex thesis-length genetics exams, thanks Dr. Colleen Jacks, to the triumph of finally getting a handle on calculus, for which I'm forever indebted to the late Dr. Jeff Rosoff. My coursework and classroom experiences were second to none. And I found a home in the classroom, in the lab, on the track, in the dorms, in the CAF, and even down the hill in my hometown of St. Peter, where I had actually become a visitor during the time that I was a resident at my beloved college. Gustavus promised a well-rounded college experience, and that's exactly what it gave me. I left with the foundation for an interesting and challenging career in medicine, including a deep understanding and appreciation of the value of learning, but also caring, serving, teaching, and leading. It's truly an honor to be recognized by a place so near and dear to my heart. I'm forever grateful to be a part of the Gustavus family. Thank you so much for this great honor, and congratulations to my fellow awardees.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Congratulations. Next, as we recognize our Golden Anniversary Award winner, let's hear from a longtime friend and colleague of Dennis LOFGREN.
Dennis has been such a successful filmmaker and father and friend. This guy has the utmost integrity, honor, morality of anybody I ever worked with in Hollywood. The first serious film that Dennis ever made was a film about children with cancer. It was a beautiful film and a touching film, and it was in his very first effort, he won the DuPont Columbia Award for this film and got it broadcast on ABC. When he went to Gustavus, Dennis only wanted to be a doctor. He had no thoughts about being a filmmaker. He just always pondered about how he could best serve humanity, the best path he could take in life to make a difference, to leave a legacy of goodness, if you will. That's really who Dennis is. At some point, he learned that he loved the creativity of filmmaking and storytelling so much that that was what his life should be, and that he could make a difference to humanity and to his society. I think Dennis's greatest accomplishment and greatest production in his life has been raising his son Christopher as a single father. And one of the best lessons he ever taught Christopher was every day when he would drop him off at his prestigious private school in Santa Monica, there was a homeless man that was living there, a man named Reuben. He was living on the street, and all of Christopher's friends would make fun of this guy. They would see him every day at school, but Dennis took Christopher to meet him and to show him that every human being has dignity and worth, and he taught him about compassion and humanity. But we can learn a lot about Dennis just by looking at the content he chose to explore with his filmmaking. They reflect his core values, his temperament, and his struggles just to stay alive in Hollywood. But some of the themes that Dennis explored in his filmmaking were kids with cancer, child sex abuse, teen suicide, and troubled youth. And so that really shows the man's compassion for suffering, because that's what he chose to look at. And then he did films on environmental issues to show he has compassion for the planet. Dennis also did films about scientific issues. And it shows that he is truly a man of science and of faith, and that the two are mutually compatible. And I think those are some of the values that he received from Gustavus as well. Moving to California with a liberal arts degree to take on Hollywood as a dream, that's a risk and an adventure for sure. But these are all attributes that Dennis embodies. Dennis is cheerful, always positive. I've never heard him say an unkind word about anybody, and I just consider him a dear friend, and those are few and far between in life. I can honestly say that Dennis LOFGREN is the best man I've ever worked with, and I've worked with some really fine and talented people.
Thank you, John Feist, good friend and colleague, for those kind words. It's been 50 years since my student days on the Hill, and looking back, I can see with 20/20 appreciation that the world that Gustavus made possible for academic excellence and personal growth helped prepare me for life. I want to thank the Gustavus Alumni Association for this distinguished award. In addition to stimulating coursework on campus, Gustavus also made available the opportunity for foreign study through SPAN, the Student Project for Amity Among Nations. I considered myself fortunate to have been accepted into the program, and after a year's preparation, I traveled and lived in Asia for 3 months. It was my first time abroad, and for a young student with just a suitcase, a backpack, and a camera, it was a heady experience. What an adventure. I found a wonderful Chinese family in Taiwan to live with while I did my field research on traditional Chinese medicine. Then I was an aspiring pre-med student, and I chose my thesis as my thesis to compare and contrast traditional Chinese medicine to Western medicine. I titled it The Lotus and the Robot, and I wrote it under the terrific guidance. I wrote it under the guidance of 3 terrific Gustavus professors. I got an A. There's a hardcover edition in the span section of the University of Minnesota Library. I've traveled the world many times since then, but nothing compares to that first time. And to this day, I remain friends in contact with my adopted Chinese family. While my major was in the sciences, it was Gustavus's encouragement to explore something completely different during the interim session, that stretch of weeks between semesters, that changed my life forever. It was during that open window of time of my senior year that I found the freedom to make my first film. I wrote a script, borrowed my roommate's Super 8mm camera, recruited a couple of students as actors, and shot, directed, and edited a story about love and loss called Annette and I. It was the first student film ever made at Gustavus. I screened it evenings in the student coffee house to packed crowds. It was exciting and liberating, and ultimately I left behind my plans to become a doctor for a creative life in film and television. Those core experiences, along with so many other Gustavus friendships and adventures, provided the basis for much of the rest of my professional and personal happiness, which also includes the love I have for my son Christopher, his wife Catherine, and their family, and for Margaret, my beloved partner. I know I'm not alone in my appreciation for this wonderful school, as both my parents, my brother, and my sister were Gustavus graduates, and they have felt the same. On my dad's final birthday, at 103 a few years ago, he was honored as Gustavus's oldest living alumnus. I plan to break that record. Thank you so much, Gustavus.
Congratulations to you, Dennis. Now it's time to move to recognizing those alumni whose career achievements truly set them in a class by themselves. For the first of our Distinguished Alumni Citation Awards, let's take a moment to get to know Cathy CARLSON a bit better.
When I was doing my PhD work, every study I did, before I published my data, here comes a published paper in international journals signed by Cathy CARLSON that kind of summarized my thoughts as well. So she kind of beat me to it every time. I think this happened twice for my studies. But finally I defended my thesis in 1990, and what I did was that I took a copy of my thesis and sent it to Cathy and wrote to her that I thought she had the same thoughts that I had, but she appeared to beat me every time. And I didn't really think I would get an answer. You know, you send your thesis to United States and you think, well, nobody will answer you. A couple of years later, I was asked to write a review about osteochondrosis in animals for a veterinary journal, and I again wrote to Cathy and asked her if she would like to do this together with me. And she again said yes. And at this time we had started with email, so that was easier. And we started to sketch the review together by emails, but then we kind of decided that we should really meet. She's a very diplomatic person, which I could demonstrate by saying that in this osteochondrosis work that we have worked a lot with, the human side, the medical society, they will not really, they don't believe in results that are made in the veterinary society and medical society. And Cathy has actually managed to get part of the medical society to understand that it is the same disease. Because if you look at it as a chronic disease, it's really very, very similar in young, usually boys, and in animals. But you cannot study the early lesions in humans. You need to do that in animals. And Cathy has, due to her really scientific skills and knowledge, but together with the diplomatic trade, she has been able to get a lot of medical doctors to understand that it is the same disease. She's combining pleasure and hard work. We work a lot, we have a lot of fun. I think she's very oriented towards people and very open-minded. She also has a very wide international network because she is such an easygoing person to be around, and she's really interested in what other people are describing. I mean, when we first met, we had a little bit different ideas about this disease, but she really listened to what other people were saying or what I was thinking, or you can discuss with her and there's no prestige in it. She wants to work with people that are interested in what she's doing, so she never feels threatened because she doesn't need to, because she has the skill, the scientific skill for her research. So, and I think that is a really important part of a researcher, that you're open-minded and you can discuss with other researchers within your area.
My name is Cathy CARLSON, and I am a proud alumna of the Gustavus Adolphus College class of 1976. Attendance at Gustavus was a tradition for my family. My parents met there after my father spotted my mother standing in the registration line after arriving for her freshman year. He told a great story of calling to ask her on their first date. She turned him down because she had just washed her hair and couldn't go out with wet hair. Things obviously worked out for them. Being a student at Gustavus allowed me to further develop the Swedish traditions that had been practiced in our family. All of my great-grandparents had emigrated from Sweden, and I tried to follow in their footsteps by learning the Swedish language under the tutelage of Roland Thorstenson and Roger McKnight. I also had the opportunity to study piano with Ethel Pearson. At that time, lessons were free. After receiving an A in my first semester, I decided I should continue to study piano, and I did so all 4 years. This provided me with countless opportunities in music, both during and after college. Although I had been a biology major, attending a January term course on the Manhattan Project taught by Richard Fuller during my junior year inspired me to change my major to physics. I became the first female physics major at Gustavus and studied physics under the tutelage of Drs. Fuller, Costello, and Pruitt. All of these experiences, combined with the lifelong friendships I made at Gustavus, helped pave my career path and allowed me to develop my interests in veterinary medicine, research, and my Swedish heritage. I have not heard Stina Ekman's comments, so these next words may be repetitive, but my first contact with her was when a package arrived in the mail one day. Inside was Stina's PhD thesis and a letter in which she let me know that she had referenced my work in her studies. I can't describe the thrill of that communication. I immediately wrote back and told her about my Swedish connections. Coincidentally, Stina comes from the same part of Sweden as my ancestors, so my hope is that we may be related. I want to thank the college leadership for this honor. I'm extremely grateful to the college, the friends I made there, and the professors who had huge impacts on my life, and I am deeply honored to receive this prestigious award. Thank you very much.
Kudos to you, Cathy. You certainly exemplify a lifelong love for learning. Now let's move to our next Distinguished Alumni Citation recipient. For an introduction, let's hear from a fellow Chicagoan who has gotten to know Ardena Flippin well over the course of her life and career.
She has practiced medicine for about 40 years. And she's also been quite a trailblazer throughout her professional life. She came to Chicago, as I said, and was a resident at the University of Chicago, one of the top hospitals in Chicago. But she later began a career in emergency medicine. And at the time that Ardena began her emergency medicine career, the specialty of emergency medicine was in its infancy. Ardena and several of her cohorts established the emergency medicine program there, which became a model for the country, and it is a place where many of the emergency medicine specialists around the country were trained. She is cool, calm, and collected. She's probably one of the most organized and interesting people you'll ever meet. She's actually been someone who I could always count on to give me advice and to tell it to me straight. She's one of those people who is very colorful in her approach to things, and that she has a terrific sense of humor, but she is also someone who is very serious and level-headed and will always give you the best of advice. She's also someone who is just an amazingly hard worker. Ardena gained a lot of admiration from me when she undertook to begin working on her Master's in Business Administration at the University of Chicago while she was an attending physician at Cook County Hospital. Ardena has been a stalwart in encouraging and facilitating the matriculation of young African Americans in the medical field. She's been a fantastic professional in her career choice. She's also, I think, taken the foundation that is provided at a strong liberal arts school like Gustavus and translated that into a kind of discipline that I think is just the winning hand for getting through the rigors of medical training. I think also, her focus is a result, frankly, of having been the only black woman student at Gustavus while she was there. And, to make lemonade out of lemons, I think she used what she probably would describe as social isolation as a means of focus. I asked Ardena at one point, did she ever feel as though she was handled differently, or that she faced particular challenges as a woman and a black person in the program? And she told me, frankly, no. She said that because they were all pioneers in emergency medicine and establishing that type of program, that they also all became peers.
As a graduate of the class of 1968, I am honored to accept the Distinguished Alumni Award from the Gustavus Alumni Association. As the first child in my family to attend college, I still hold dear Bruce Gray's 1964 visit to my family's living room in Minneapolis to recruit me to Gustavus as an incoming freshman. I'm also eternally grateful to the late Professor Arnie Langshan for his enthusiastic encouragement of my healthcare vision and aspirations. From a young age, my parents instilled in my siblings and me the value and respect of a quality education, something, to their regret, they never had the opportunity to pursue. For this reason, my siblings and I, through the Gustavus Heritage Partnership, established the Verna B. and Tolly J. Flippin Sr. Scholarship Endowment Fund to aid qualified students of color. Dr. Virchow, an esteemed German physician, said, "The physician is the natural attorney of the poor." And this belief has guided me throughout my profession. I thank the Gustavus Alumni Association for this award in its recognition of my years of advocacy and medical service to an under-resourced and underserved patient population in the city of Chicago, and for its recognition of my years of service on the Gustavus Board of Trustees. Thank you again.
Congratulations, Ardena. Thank you for making us all proud with your trailblazing efforts. Next, let's take a moment to gain some insight into the life and career of Distinguished Alumni Citation honoree Heidi Kennedy Manning.
She's obviously a brilliant person, and she used that to very quickly get into, things like NASA and get immersed in the research that she did and the planetary science kinds of things that she worked on, and that was very impressive. I felt like, but she did it on top of a full teaching load at Concordia and being a dean and other things as well. So. That's impressive, but recently, what she's done since she's become a full-time dean, it's been cool to see how she's connected the liberal arts to everything that she does, and she knows how to talk about the liberal arts and the connections between humanities and science and art and science and so forth. Her interest in taking the liberal arts to students and sharing it with students and making sure that they appreciate how things fit together, the connections between things, the connections between all the different disciplines, of course, but and she did that as an instructor, as a teacher at Concordia, but now she's doing it with more than just students and students and faculty and staff at Misericordia. So I think the first thing you notice about Heidi is her infectious smile. She's just really fun to talk to and be with. And then you really quickly figure out how brilliant she is, how smart she is. But those are the two things that really stick out in my mind. The Millennial Nobel Conference, she brought her young son, Zach, and we had a young daughter, Gretchen. 18 years later, they were classmates at Lawrence University studying physics. So it's kind of cool. I was in a budget meeting with the cabinet, the vice presidents, and a few other people, a couple other faculty, probably something. And one of the vice presidents passes a little note to me, and I wonder, why are you passing me a note? So I opened it up and looked at it, and it simply said, Heidi Manning, hire her if you can. And it turns out that he had just visited with her at Concordia and learned about all of her accomplishments and was just thrilled that she was an alum and everything, and thought, well, she'd fit in really well here. In many ways, lives the Gustavus life, the kind of life that we think our students should aspire to. So.
I'm honored and humbled to receive this award from Gustavus Adolphus College. It means so much to me to be recognized by my alma mater, the place that provided me with an education that has served as an excellent foundation for my life and my career. I'd like to thank the faculty in the physics department for their time educating and mentoring me and inspiring within me both a love for physics and a passion for teaching at the post-secondary level. During my 20 years of teaching physics at Concordia College, I often thought of those faculty members and tried to emulate the wonderful things that they did in the classroom and the laboratory. Through my physics education, I developed a curiosity to discover how things worked, and this served me well in my scientific research endeavors. I'd also like to thank the faculty from across the college who developed in me the curiosity for learning beyond physics and expanded my thinking. The skills and knowledge I acquired have been especially valuable in my administrative work. The breadth of my liberal arts education at Gustavus prepared me well for a life of learning. The opportunities for learning outside of the classroom were abundant at Gustavus. Like the Nobel Conference, they were a wonderful addition to my education. These experiences helped me think of big ideas and their implications, and got me thinking beyond just the classes I was taking that semester. They fostered within me an interest to explore a wide variety of topics. I'd also like to thank my husband, David Manning, for his support throughout my career. He has willingly moved back and forth across the country as I pursued research positions, teaching positions, and in academic administrative work. I would not have been able to accomplish the things I have without his patience and understanding. I'd also like to thank my two sons, Zachary and Ian, for their understanding for all the times I was gone traveling to conferences and meetings. I humbly accept this award with gratitude and conclude that Gusties will shine, not just tonight, but always.
Incredible, Heidi. What a journey. I love how working at NASA feels like just a blip on the screen of your career, which for many would have been a pinnacle moment in and of itself. Now, for our final Distinguished Alumni Citation for 2020, let's learn a bit more about the life and work of Arlene Waxlack Sunday.
Well, I've known and worked with Arlene for over 30 years. In the 1980s, I was the director of the Learning Disabilities Program at FDU, and I was looking for an effective method for training teachers to teach reading to students with dyslexia. I attended Arlene's workshop in a meeting at New York City of what was then called the Orton-Gillingham Society. It's now called the International Dyslexia Association. Anyhow, 10 minutes into the workshop, I knew that this was the method that I was looking for, and this is the person who could help me bring this training to Fairleigh Dickinson. As Judy Shapiro, one of our now senior faculty, points out, from early on in the 80s, when Orton-Gillingham was little known, Arlene Sunday was one of the few individuals who shed light on how to teach reading to dyslexic individuals using Orton-Gillingham. And Judy adds, thankfully, I was one of the lucky recipients who in the 1980s received training from Arlene. We became good friends as we worked many long days together. She would always stay at my house because she was very mindful of keeping costs for our fledgling program to a minimum. Arlene is a quintessential teacher. As Barbara McAuliffe, one of our senior faculty, states, if she just has a piece of paper and a pencil, she can teach anything. To this day, it is her words that I hear in my head when I'm teaching a child. I've told her she is my hero. Arlene is unflappable. I've observed her in very challenging circumstances. Well, for one thing, teaching our 12-hour workshop, she had a sprained ankle the whole time. I've witnessed her confidently coming to our Newark setting, overseeing difficult board meetings, taking all in her stride. She's generous to a fault. In a professional world with so many proprietary interests, Arlene is generous with both her time and her materials. Emerson Dickman, who's a longtime friend and associate of Arlene's, former IDA president, and an attorney who advocates for children with disabilities. This is what he says. I know some who feel special simply to have met, heard, or even seen her from a distance. In the field of teaching reading, Arlene is a rock star. She stands above the crowd, figuratively and literally. Her contribution to children who have an unexpected difficulty learning how to read is incalculable. Arlene and Ralph Sunday are two wonderful people who have made the world a better place for all. In my program alone, as a result of her training, we have trained about 900 teachers. We estimate that each of those teachers teaches a minimum of 15 students a year for a minimum of 10 years. So her dedication to children with dyslexia and the work she did to train teachers has had a major impact on many people's lives. Just in my program alone, 135,000 children. Arlene has served as an inspiration to many teachers and to many who have become trainers of teachers and leaders in our field. Our appreciation for her tireless efforts are expressed by senior faculty member Georgette Dickman. Arlene, you are a rare and amazing teacher. Thank you for taking me under your wing. Thank you for being my mentor. Thank you for being my friend. And most of all, thank you for being my inspiration. Congratulations, Arlene, on this recognition that you're getting from your alma mater. You certainly more than deserve it.
Thank you so much for this beautiful award. It is truly an honor to be counted among the distinguished alumni of Gustavus. It was 71 years ago, in September of 1950, when I got on a bus and on the North Shore, transferred in Duluth, transferred again in Minneapolis, and arrived at Porter's in St. Peter in the late evening after dark. I went by taxi to Gustavus. I was dropped off at Wallstrom Hall, and this was my first glimpse of the campus. I chose Gustavus because I got tuition for the second semester of my freshman year, $175. I was the first in my family to attend college. I met Ralph Sunday at Gustavus. We married 66 years ago, raised 4 children, Barb, Brad, Karen, and David, and we relocated many times as he accepted job transfers. One of the transfers took us to Rochester, Minnesota, and there a fellow Gustie recommended that I contact the Reading Center. I did. I learned the Orton-Gillingham approach to teaching reading and spelling. Orton-Gillingham instruction was not welcome in the public schools that were transitioning into a whole language approach, but current research in the science of reading approves and recommends a structured, systematic phonic instruction. Wherever we lived, there were requests for tutoring, more than I could possibly schedule, and I began training in response to the need. I chose to become a multiplier and train more tutors to help more learners. When we returned to Minnesota, I joined St. Paul Academy as a part-time reading specialist. At SPA, I started a summer school to deliver Orton-Gillingham instruction to small groups of students, and I started evening classes for adults. Summer school also provided a practicum site for graduate special ed students from the University of St. Thomas, where I got my special ed master's degree. I served as adjunct instructor in colleges and universities in Minnesota, Louisiana, and Hawaii, as well as Fairleigh Dickinson in New Jersey. Invitations to train teachers came from China, Thailand, India 3 times, Pakistan, Egypt, and Kuwait. Both of my daughters would travel with me as co-presenters. They were credentialed Orton-Gillingham therapists. We had fun traveling and working together in exotic locations. Currently, I've written 16 Sunday system curricula published by Windsor Learning for special ed, classroom, and home school instruction. Electronic versions streamline virtual instruction for students and for teacher training. Thank you, Gustavus, for launching an exciting career and adding richness to my life and to the lives of others.
Congratulations, Arlene. Thank you for all that you have done for learners and educators around the world. Now, at this point, it should be abundantly clear that these awardees have honored the Gustavus legacy through their accomplishments. We are indeed fortunate to count them among the Gustie ranks, and we're grateful for the dedication they have shown to their respective crafts, the impact they have made on communities far beyond the Hill, and the commitment they've made to realize the promise of a Gustavus education. We now turn to recognizing this year's recipients of the Greater Gustavus Award. This award is the highest honor bestowed upon a member of the Gustavus community, and in 2020, it was awarded to a group of very deserving individuals for reasons none of us could have even fathomed before COVID-19 swept the nation and our lives came to a collective halt. For insight about why the Gustavus faculty is so incredibly deserving of this award, let's hear from Gustavus Provost Brenda Kelly.
As I was considering, in collaboration with the president, the Greater Gustavus Award and the manner in which the faculty pivoted over a 2-week period toward a completely online mode of instruction, which they've never done before, given that Gustavus is a residential liberal arts college. The amazing work that they put into that effort, particularly given that one of those 2 weeks was the week of spring break, was amazing and so worthy of this award. One of the things that I appreciated about our faculty and the way that they approached this change in their teaching pedagogy was that they contacted their students first and asked their students, what type of technology access do you have at home? How is your mental state right now, given that this was such a transitory time for everyone? And then the faculty adjusted their pedagogy based upon the student needs of the classroom, the types of technology that our students did or did not have available. And they also, what I would say is they really put the student at the forefront and not the class content at the forefront, even though clearly they wanted to maintain the curricular integrity of the course. They wanted to do that within the context of taking care of their students and making sure that their students were in a position where they could actually learn. I am so proud of the way in which our faculty kept the students at the forefront of their work, the way in which our faculty devoted themselves to doing this pivot. Again, teaching in a pedagogy that they had never taught in before, doing it in a way that they didn't complain, they just did it. They dug in and they did what had to be done on behalf of our students, on behalf of the mission of the college. And that made me so proud. And so finding that balance between care for the student and achievement of student learning outcomes from an academic sense, I thought that our faculty did a fantastic job of threading that needle and being able to walk the line of doing both and not letting one of them drop. And so I think for all of our faculty, there was a little bit of a panic in how in the world is this going to happen? And then what I appreciated about our faculty is they really gathered amongst themselves in small teaching cohorts. They worked together either within departments or within with other faculty colleagues. What are you doing? Faculty member in biology. Well, I'm thinking about doing this. What are you doing? Do you know anything about this teaching platform? Do you know anything about this technology? So in terms of the sharing of resources across faculty, because everyone was at a little bit of a loss and a little bit of a loss of direction, I think that our faculty really came together in order to create this body of resources, and were really willing to share. When they had a success in their class, they were willing to share that with others. A lot of that practice, that beta testing, that trial and error that we used in the spring of 2020 translated into really effective online hybrid teaching pedagogies as we came into the fall of 2020.
Hello, my name is Dwight Stoll, Professor of Chemistry and Chair of the Gustavus Faculty Senate for the 2020-2021 academic year. It is my pleasure to accept, on behalf of the Gustavus faculty, the Greater Gustavus Award from the Gustavus Alumni Association. We are deeply honored to join the long list of distinguished individuals and groups who have received this prestigious award over the years. The academic year we just finished was nothing short of remarkable. I am incredibly proud of my faculty colleagues who, in a matter of weeks during the spring of 2020, pivoted to deliver the academic program of the college for the remainder of the spring semester through online learning. In the fall of 2020 and throughout the 2020-2021 year, they adjusted many times to changing COVID restrictions and worked incredibly hard to meet the highly varied needs of students throughout the pandemic and deliver the best possible academic experience under the circumstances. As challenging as the past year has been, we also recognize that as a faculty we have had tremendous support along the way from Gustavus leadership, alumni, and our patient students. From the hundreds of COVID-related meetings and very difficult decisions throughout the year, to personal notes of encouragement and offers of help from Gustavus staff and alumni, we have deeply appreciated your work, both visible and invisible, to make the past year a success. As we begin to emerge from the pandemic at the college, I look forward to seeing how my faculty colleagues and the college as a whole are able to leverage the lessons and work from the past year in innovative and inspiring ways that carry Gustavus into the future stronger than ever.
Wow. What an amazing celebration, full of stories of Gusties who truly inspire us all as members of this incredible community. Many thanks again to all of you who have joined in our celebration this year to lift up and honor these accomplished members of our community. As I close, I want to quickly thank Tom Young, Mike BUSSEY, and President Bergman, who you'll hear from momentarily. I'd also like to thank the team at CME Productions for their video production support of this project. And finally, to Philly Kaufman, our administrative support staff member and honorary Gustie, for her help navigating all of the twists and turns the past year and a half has brought us. Next year, please consider celebrating with us again, hopefully on campus and in person. Basking in that Gustie spirit is so enriching, and the more the merrier for us. Now, with some closing thoughts to further inspire us, please welcome the president of Gustavus Adolphus College, Rebecca Bergman.
Thank you, Angela. Greetings, everyone. For those of you who I haven't met yet, I'm Rebecca Bergman, and I'm honored to serve as president of Gustavus Adolphus College. Congratulations again to all of our honorees this year. Their stories have illustrated their individual commitment to excellence and illuminate the lifelong value of a Gustavus education. Among the many traits that our awardees share, as described by those who know them best, it's clear to me that their interest in and dedication to other people has helped bring them great success. That gives me a sense of personal pride, to be sure, and that living in community with others, learning from them and contributing in positive ways to their lives is a cornerstone of the Gustavus experience. The way that these awardees serve as examples to inspire fellow alumni, current Gusties, and future students as well is why we go to great lengths to recognize and lift up those around us, making extraordinary contributions to the greater good. We cannot underestimate the impact those inspiring stories make on everyone in our Gustie universe. In fact, the accomplishments highlighted in this celebration fuel the engine that drives us all to contribute to the very best version of Gustavus, not only on campus, but wherever we find ourselves. With that in mind, we thank our award winners for their support of Gustavus, both implicit and explicit. They have lent their professional expertise to us in formal and informal capacities, given philanthropic gifts to the college, served on institutional leadership groups, and much, much more. As we close, I would like to thank those tuning into this celebration. While it may not be our conventional method of lifting up the accomplishments of our honorees due to the constraints of the past year, we are grateful for your engagement. I'd also like to thank the Alumni Association Board of Directors and its Recognition Committee for its steadfast commitment to ensuring a stellar group of honorees each year, and to the Office of Alumni and Parent Engagement for coordinating this celebration. And now, as we move forward in these still turbulent and uncertain times, may we continue to be inspired by those recognized here, as well as the words of Eric Nerelius, who said in 1887, Whatever we do, let us do it well. Let the quality of our work be good. This will recommend our work, and we cannot help but go forward. Be well, Gusties, and take care.